Hello. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and read this. It's part of my AP2 thingamajig. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sex so good, she remembered, briefly. Sex so good, it came with an image of a tale she heard as a young child, of a tribesman and a tiger and a mask. Sex so good, she was a tribeswoman, walking through a forest, naked but for the mask on the back of her head, and the white tiger skulked as moonlight's reflection through the trees in the distance, and she could hear nothing but her breath through the clear dark blue and the rhythmic expansions of the tiger's beating heart, pat, pat, patting towards her and her mask. And surely she didn't want her mask on her. She wanted the tiger to come, to attack. And she walked through the soft dancing trees, dropping her mask on the mossy floor, next to the leaves, the calm stag beetles, the moist cool dirt, the fauna, and her breathing silent and her eyes closed, and the sound of the beast's giant white paw dampening the path behind her. Yes, she remembered, briefly. Briefly, as a man sat there across from her in his denim, with his notepad propped on his leg, itself propped on her ancient coffee table, and asked her, blatant as his white shirt, how her husband had loved her. Briefly, and then it was gone, and it wouldn't return. And she was there, staring at a fly perched on her biscuit, her eyes, cataracts spreading, but not yet consuming, with the fly across the room to her television set, and back to the man with the notepad who had come to ask her questions, and more questions, and questions he was asking now, asking again, asking and asking, and the television blared in blue and gold and green and red, and how she'd always loved Eddie, although he was fat and grey now too asking, always asking a mine worker what Olympics Kathy Freeman won, and she was sure she must have known once. Now with the fly, buzz, buzz, buzzing, back across the fat old television to the stack of magazines underneath the coffee table, landing right on what's-her-name's nose. And what on earth had happened to all her books? There was a bookcase right there, 2 bookcases filled with ugly ceramics. Surely she hadn't bought all those. What had happened to all her books? And focusing on the man opposite the twin sofa, his greasy hair hovering 2 inches away from an overzealous doily that surely she hadn't crocheted. And she could hear her breathing now, as heavy as it was with the tiger that hadn't come in an awful long time. Tiger? Linda, we were talking about cats. Linda, are you alright? And there, behind the god-forsaken doily, sitting on a china cabinet was a doll. A fucking doll. What would Ted say? And the smell. The house smelled like an old person's house, like all old person's houses. And she remembered, again, a day back when her breast pointed, if not up, then firmly forwards, thinking, how on earth did all old person's houses smell the same? And that they were weird, really. They were really fooling no one, least of all the men with the scythe himself, with those god-awful bottles of perfume with the little wooden sticks in them. The doll, oh God, the doll looked an awful lot like that thing her grandmother used to threaten to leave her. She must tell Ted about the doll with the eyes that blink. The doll they placed in compromising positions while her grandmother napped on the couch. And now she saw, right there, besides the offending doll, 7 little wooden cylinders sticking out of a little glass vial of organ liquid. And now she lay her head back down, back on the couch on her own identical doily. But of course, Ted was dead. Haha, a rhyme. Ted was dead, and that's why the man with the greasy hair and the blue jeans on the coffee table was here.